Welcome to Inside Insight, your quick hit of tips, tools, and trends for manufacturing, distribution, and Dynamics 365 Business Central. Brought to you by Insight Works.
You know that feeling, right? That collective sigh when it's time for inventory counting?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's often just tedious, takes forever, a real drag on the whole business. And, well, our deep dive today looks at this specifically with inventory counts in Business Central.
Microsoft system. Yeah.
Right. And the source material points out they often take way more time than they should. Leads to delays, mistakes, just disruption.
Mm-hmm.
So the big question is, what if you could, slash that time? Cut it in half, maybe even more.
And what's really interesting here is, yes, the challenge is real. Everyone feels it. But the good news, and this is key, is that big improvements, like that 50% reduction you mentioned, they're actually achievable.
Without a massive overhaul.
Exactly. It's not about ripping everything out. It's about smart, practical tweaks to how you do things. Actionable stuff.
Okay, let's dig into that. The first thing the research highlights, this is really interesting, is rethinking how often you actually count things.
Precisely. Because, let's face it, not all inventory is created equal, right? Some stuff flies off the shelf, some sits there for ages.
Right.
So this leads to using what they call count period codes. It sounds a bit technical, but the idea is simple.
Okay.
You group items, maybe by how fast they move, fast, normal, slow, something like that, or by value.
Ah, so you focus the counting effort.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You count the important stuff, the high value or fast moving items more often, and the slow stuff less often. It reduces the overall workload massively.
And improves accuracy because you're focused.
You got it. Better control, less time spent counting things that barely move.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So once you're smarter about when you count, what's next? I'm guessing the actual counting process itself, those generic sheets.
Yeah, those generic count sheets, they can be a real pain.
Yeah.
You're wading through lists of items that aren't even in your section.
Yeah, waste of time.
Totally.
Yeah.
So the next practical step is customizing count sheets.
How does that work?
Well, instead of one giant list, you create specific sheets, maybe by shelf or location or item type, whatever makes sense for your layout. Then you assign those sheets to specific teams or zones or even shifts.
So people only see what they need to count.
Exactly. No more hunting. They spend time counting, not searching. It sounds simple, but it's a huge efficiency gain.
I can see that. But then there's the data entry, right? Getting all those counts into the system. That feels like another potential bottleneck.
Oh, it absolutely is. A huge one, often. If you've got one person keying everything in while everyone else waits.
Yeah, frustrating.
Right? So the fix here is enabling teams to work simultaneously, not sequentially.
Meaning multiple people can enter data at the same time.
Precisely. Different team members enter the counts for their assigned sections concurrently. It just slashes that wait time.
So the whole process from floor to system speeds up.
Dramatically. Less waiting, faster posting.
Okay, faster's good. But what about accuracy? It's so frustrating when mistakes slip through and you don't find them until, way later.
Agreed. That's a critical point. And it leads to the importance of recording and reconciling with line-level detail.
Line-level detail. So not just the final number.
Right. As the counts are entered, you compare the expected quantity for each item line with the actual quantity counted right there in the system.
Ah, so the system flags mismatches immediately.
Exactly. Real-time flagging.
Wow.
It means the team can investigate that specific item right then and there while it's fresh in their minds.
Instead of weeks later when nobody remembers anything.
Precisely. Catch errors small and early before they become big problems.
Makes sense. But, even with accurate counts, just having the numbers doesn't always tell you where the biggest issues are, does it?
That's a really good point. You might have hundreds of small discrepancies. Where do you focus?
Yeah.
That's where using the built-in reports for reviewing differences comes in handy. Business Central has these.
What kind of reports?
You can run difference reports sorted by, say, the cost of the discrepancy, or by location or item number.
Ah, so you can immediately see the high-value problem.
Exactly. It helps you prioritize. Focus on the big variances, the ones that really impact your bottom line or indicate a serious process issue, and maybe don't chase every tiny difference. Saves a ton of time in the reconciliation phase.
Okay, prioritizing effort. Smart. Now, one last thing. We've talked about process, but what about the tools? Like actual pen and paper?
Yeah, the old clipboard method. Still surprisingly common.
Seems incredibly inefficient. Bad handwriting, someone else typing it in later.
Double handling, transcription errors. It's slow and prone to mistakes. Which brings us to probably the biggest single improvement for many, using mobile devices for on-the-floor data entry.
So scanners and tablets right in the warehouse.
Scan the item barcode, enter the quantity directly into a mobile device that feeds straight into Business Central.
Cuts out the middleman.
Completely. No paper, no double entry, fewer errors, much faster. It's really a game changer for speed and accuracy. And tools like, for instance, the Advanced Inventory Count app are built specifically for this, integrating smoothly.
Wow. Okay, so tying this all together, what's the main takeaway here?
Well, I think it's that inventory counting doesn't have to be this universally dreaded, time-sucking chore.
Right.
With a structured approach, thinking about frequency, using custom sheets, parallel entry, real-time checks, smart reporting, and mobile tools, you can genuinely transform it.
Make it efficient, accurate.
Yeah, and maybe even cut that count time by half or more. Get your teams finished faster, more reliably.
That sounds pretty compelling. A much better way to handle unnecessary tasks.
Definitely.